Chords is the first device I made in the QK series. The concept behind it was my main inspiration for undertaking the project, and all the other devices followed in support of its functionality. Chords is a chord progression generator and sequencer with 8 scenes and 8 chord slots per scene. More importantly, it is also an incoming note quantizer, meaning that you send notes in C major and it quantizes those notes to the current chord. This is the key principle. You compose in C major and send all your notes via chords. Chords then transposes your C major notes to the notes of the current chord. It provides a simple way to create melody and harmony without having to remember any music theory, and it allows you to reharmonize your song at any time by changing the chords. Even in a performance context, during playback, you can reharmonize your entire song by jumping to different chords and scenes. In a way, it's like a reverse arpeggiator. Conventional arpeggiators receive chords and order the playback of chord notes in a pattern. Whereas with chords, you send it the patterns. This opens up unlimited possibilities for arpeggiator patterns because rather than being limited to the classic patterns, you can create any C major pattern in a MIDI clip and set it to chords to be quantized to the current chord. There's at least 6 different ways to add chords. These include chord select, chord construct, record mode, generate scene of chords, using the suggester, and selecting a preset which can then be transposed. Incoming notes can be harmonized or quantized to the current chord in 3 ways: Harmonize mode, chord mode, and chord notes mode. In Harmonize mode, incoming notes are quantized to the current chord using the shape of a C major 7th chord. A C note triggers the chord root, an E triggers the chord 3rd, a G triggers the chord 5th, and B triggers the chord 7th. D, F, and A trigger notes relative to the chord notes. For example, a D note triggers a note 2 semitones above the chord root. In chord mode, single incoming notes trigger the current chord in an inverted form depending on the note received. A C note triggers the root inversion. Playing up or down from a C note inverts the chord up or down correspondingly. You can use chord notes mode for a simplified combination of the above 2 modes. In chord notes mode, you can trigger chord notes, the root, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th with notes C, E, G, and B, just as you can in Harmonize mode. You can trigger the whole chord in whatever inversion you have it set to in the progression with an F note, and you can trigger the lowest note or the highest note of the chord after inversion using notes D and A respectively.